This is my Samsung 5 series. The model number is the NP535U3C. It's completely bone stock. It's just a 13-inch laptop, AMD. So it's pretty slow. The first thing I'm going to do is boot into the BIOS so I can show you the system specs. It's the A6 dual-core processor. So F2 for BIOS. There we are. Okay, so there we are. The AMD A6 4455M. It's 2.1 gigahertz, and there's 4 gigabytes of RAM. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do a speed test. It's completely stock, other than having Ubuntu 14.10 on here. It had Windows 7 Home Premium, but it was painfully slow. Although I won't say it was Windows' fault. It did have a lot of bloatware. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start it. The markers are going to be from when the Samsung Splash comes up until the chime on the login. So that's going to be my boot marker. So we'll turn it on. Start this as soon as that comes up. With Windows 7, it took just over a minute for it to start up. It's about a minute and 5 seconds, minute and 4 seconds, somewhere around there. And with Windows 8, it wasn't far off. There we go. So 47 seconds, almost 48 seconds. We'll say 48. So 48 seconds, so it's a vast improvement just running Ubuntu. So now I'm going to upgrade the RAM to 8 gigs of RAM from the stock 4. I have this by, I think it's Micron. So that's a 4 gigabyte stick of RAM. It has 4 gigabytes built in. So first thing I'm going to do here is just shut this off. There. All right. So once this is all done, I'm just going to unplug the power, flip it over. There we go, it's off. Unplug. Let's flip this over. Now, there's only one Phillips screw. I'm using a Phillips 0-bit. It's right there. Just make the twisties happen. And it comes out. And don't lose it. Now these clips, they do feel like you're going to snap the laptop in half. That is normal. It is just a pain to get off. Now right under here, there's this little heat shield cover. So we're just going to peel that back, and there's nothing under it. That is where the memory is going to go. Now here's the memory. It's the 4 gigabyte chip, and in here you'll see this little notch. It's right here. Hard to see. But that little notch right there lines up with the little gap in the memory. So we're just going to make those play nice, snap it in, that's it. Now it has 8 gigabytes of memory. I'm going to put this heat shield back on, because now with the memory in here it will get warm, and that cover is plastic. So I'm actually going to leave this off because I'm doing a solid state right after. It doesn't matter as long as there's nothing touching it. And plug the power back in. And open it up. And now again, I'm going to boot into the BIOS to show that there's 8 gigabytes of RAM now. Alright. And there we go. Now we have 8,000 megabytes. So there's 8 gigabytes of RAM in here. So now that that's done, we're going to do another boot just to see if that improves it. I've got the trusty Nexus 5, and again, the markers are going to be from the Samsung boot splash until the login chime. So that was 38, let's say 39. I'm going to round up on that one. So already there's a pretty significant improvement there, almost 10 seconds. Next we're going to do a solid state. So now we're just going to shut this back down. Alright, reset that. Move this guy over. And now here, again, from Micron. Going with Micron this one. They're cheap, they're fairly reliable. So it's 256 gigabyte SATA 3, so it's 6 gigabyte per second. It is a 7mm drive. It's very thin, because these laptops use 7mm drives. Now with the laptop flipped over, this is the 7mm 500GB hard drive. Comes in from the factory. Just going to pop that little tab up right there. We're just going to grab onto this cable, pull it out, so that way it doesn't break. And there are 4 Phillips screws. Same bit as last time. This one fits a little better, so I'm going to say that the bit is probably a different size. Or the head, rather. And we're doing this one. Now we're just going to take the cable here and just pull straight up. That's it. Now we get to transfer this caddy over, so we get to take those screws out on the side. I believe those ones are bigger. I might use a Phillips one on those. It may be bigger. So we're done with this for now. So I'm actually going to put this over. And that didn't happen. Okay, so now that the hard drive's out, first thing that we can do is remove the screws that are on the side of the caddy that holds it in place. So these screws here. So the screws are removed. Next step, you just take this out. There's these little tabs on the edge. You can just fit a screwdriver under it. Some of them don't need it. Some of them are loose, like this one. And that's that. And then we just pull this up like that. There we go. So this is the 500GB that comes in it from the factory. Alright, so now that that's done, I'm going to take this, have the SATA port the exact same way. So look at this, sticker was down. SATA goes here, power on the left, data on the right, go to this side, and power on the left, data on the right. So I'm just going to pop that in there, make sure those screw holes line up. Back a little bit. There we are. Perfect. So now we're just going to put those screws back in, plug this little guy back in, again, power on the left, data on the right. And that was simple. And now the screws, and then I can put it back in. And just wedge the solid state under the other laptop. And now for this side. Those screws are in, and those ones are in, so now it can go back in the laptop. So now the really hard install process of this. Just kind of put that ribbon cable in. And that's it. Now we just put the screws back in. Which is going to have to be part of some one-handed wizardry. Alright. That's good. Remember not to over-tighten them. They may have metal plugs that the screws go into, but they are attached to plastic. So just enough that it won't go flying out. Alright, that's number 3. And number 4. Alright, Okay, that's it. And now, because I don't have to come back in here, because this is all done, solid state's in, the 4GB of RAM added is in, I'm going to put the cover back on, because I am done in here, and never need to access this again. Alright. And it's a no-brainer, but I feel like I should mention this anyways. Don't push hard in the middle when you're putting the clips back in. You are pushing on the screen on the other side. Alright. And that screw back in. And that's done. And now I'm going to have to boot into the Ubuntu 14.10 install, which I have here on a 16GB Kingston Data Traveler. Not that it matters, it can be any kind. The only requirement though, for when you're booting off of a USB install for a 5 series, I'm not sure if these are with the Intel ones, but it is with the AMD ones, you have to use the blue USB port. There are the black ones here, which are USB 2.0, and there are the blue ones, or blue one, on this side. You have to use this one. It will not read off of the other one. I'm not sure if it's mine or if that's how they come. All I know is it does not work off of the other ones. And USB in the first time, didn't have to flip it. You saw it first here. And another thing that Samsung doesn't tell you is you can boot directly off of the USB by pushing F9 over and over on the boot. It doesn't bring up the menu. They don't advertise it, but it does work. And if you're coming from Windows 8, you have to disable fast boot in the power menu, which is it's an entirely different process on its own. We won't even get into that. So power and F9 over and over. F9, oh, there we are. And install Ubuntu. There we go. So there's going to be a different video on the install process of Ubuntu. It's really easy. So I'm going to skip this part. Now that the solid state drive is installed, and I've just finished the install of Ubuntu 14.10 on it, I'm going to do another test. Again, the only thing that I've done is it has started into the initial boot, and then I've changed the driver from the built-in one to the priority AMD driver, because it'll boot into a black screen without that. It's a known issue with these laptops. So here we are, and again I'm going to start it when the Samsung splash comes up, and I'm going to stop it when the login chime starts. There we go. So it's pretty well 18 seconds. So it is a huge improvement from the old hard drive that was in here. So there's the model number of the laptop, just in case anyone was wondering. And now I'm going to start customizing this and all that good stuff. Now that the boot time is 18 seconds. But it's all done. This is the hard drive. You can see that it's the 256GB hard drive that is formatted and then partitioned. And then next, check out the RAM. There we are. And it's showing that I have just shy of 8GB free. That's with both memory chips. And then we will check out the let's show you. And we want to look at the CPU specs for this. Yeah, that's right. Alright, so now it's just checking the system. And it'll just find all of the same specifications that we could find in the BIOS. So it's the A6 4455, it's 2.1 gigahertz, and it's the 64-bit processor. So There we go. We're running the 64-bit version. All right. Little weekend project. It took maybe an hour altogether, including making the video and doing most of everything one-handed. It's pretty good. I would not recommend getting the laptop. Get the Intel version. And there you have it.